Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is reprehensible. The definition is worthy of or deserving reprehension, blame, or censure. Culpable. So from there I took worthy of blame. That's where I started, was worthy of blame. That's the first thing I wrote in my notebook. WOTD, word of the day, reprehensible, worthy of blame. And in some of there's usually this app that I use, there's descriptions and use in sentences, and a lot of it went political, and bribing a mayor was in, I think, like most of the sentences. So I wrote, mayor bribed is reprehensible. Doing bad actions or not doing good actions. In a gaming sense, being reprehensible will generally get others to gang up on you. Or it could mean, you're breaking the rules of the game. Which in some games, the game is all about breaking the rules of the game, like, actions and special powers and special abilities and things like that generally do break the rules of the game. But I was trying to think in a deeper level without getting extremely meta, but I stopped there and I wrote, it's hard not to get political, where your goal is to not be reprehensible, or your goal is to use reprehensible actions to push that line as far as possible. And I stopped there, shifted gears a little bit, and started to write notes like, who blames? Who is the person doing the blaming? And it's either the public, it's other players, or it's you. Like, you could be doing blaming, or others could be doing blaming. And then who is blamed? It could be you, or it could be other players, or it could be some sort of non-player character or something outside of the game. And then I wrote, what happens when you're blamed? And it stopped there. That's the end of my first page. And I only have one more page of this, but I completely shifted gears and just started writing up a game. Reprehensible is a political-based roll-and-write game where you are the editor of a newspaper following the actions of a corrupt politician and their staff. Your job is to expose years of bad choices made and show how it impacts the town. And I have a drawing here, and I wrote, the page is a blank newspaper. And it's basically like a rectangle with all these different little squares that would represent, or squares, rectangle shapes, that would represent a headline or a story or a photo or a table of contents or anything. So it just looks like the front of a newspaper if you put a box around every single item. All right, and you will fill it in with details. The more details, the better. You'll start by gathering shapes of interviews and data off to the side. So not on your paper. And I wrote roll and write because I had this little paper filled out and it looked cool. But it doesn't have to be. It's not like this is anything anyway, but it doesn't have to be. But off to the side of your playing surface, you're going to have interviews and data that you obtain. And they're all different shapes. And eventually you're going to get them onto your board or your paper. You're going to combine them into sections, try to group them together. If you can't get them or group them for whatever reason, you're going to put a different type of, and these represent articles. I don't know, articles or photos or headlines. But if you don't have one ready or of the right type, you're going to have to play a different one. And the more different ones you have on your front page is not as good. Because while it's great for a newspaper to have some variety, you're trying to, pin this person down, and you want to fill as much of it as possible with articles about them. So I wrote that you score points for how detailed a section is. So this bottom corner of your newspaper has multiple stories with tons of detail and variety or whatever. You might do well. Or you score points on how little fluff there is inside. So the less nonsense that you throw into these little sections of paper because you had to, maybe because of, your pin because of a die roll and you used certain combinations that you can't use anymore, or for whatever reason, you might have to add some fluff. And that's not going to be good for your points. And then how much of the main page is covered by stories, which is kind of the same thing as the opposite of the fluff. But I think that way that main page is laid out is important. There's a natural way that the eye travels from left to right, top to bottom. But maybe, scoring based off of stories that are connected and near each other and things like that. So you're essentially building this newspaper page. Then in the end, you score based off of those, determining if you can convince the public to vote otherwise. So your whole entire reason in this as a player is to score the most points. But, getting deeper into it, it's convincing the public not to vote for this person. And to convince them, I need to load this front page of this newspaper up with everything I've got. There's no room for, anything. So that's it. Reprehensible is a political-based roll and write game. Could have went in any direction. Doing bad actions, not doing good actions, leads you to, social deduction and things like that. But I drew this little newspaper and thought it was worthy of moving forward. I thought of it almost as like tangrams of some way. You're just trying to fit these little shapes onto your board. And doing that with, creating your own newspapers is cool and may even have been done at some point. And I just wouldn't know. But that's it. That's the game. If you have something better for Reprehensible, let me know. If you don't have something better, also let me know. Because as long as you're just tinkering, then you're getting somewhere. And I'm going to keep tinkering every day and keep sharing my tinkering. So I hope you enjoy it. And the end of our first week, which is a nice milestone. Going to the weekend with a special guest, which is also really neat. It's a little different. The tone will be a little different, and we'll have a little bit of back and forth as opposed to just me. And come Monday, we'll be back to just me, and we'll wish that the special guest was still here because they were more interesting. I don't mean to be down on myself like that. It's just I look up to a lot of other designers, and I think they do great things. So it's nice to see that. And looking back at yourself in comparison is tough because they're always better and more interesting and hitting all the right marks. And so it's cool for me to be able to do that every weekend. And I hope that I can keep you interested during the week to get through the next ones. All right, thanks. Enjoy your weekend. See you around.